Hi everyone, I'm Daphney and I am a certified date and relationship coach. And today I want to talk about a movie that like a lot of people love, right? Y'all know I just said a lot of people love. I'm not sure how I feel about it, right? So let's just get into it. Now this is one of the movies that people just like, for years have like talked about this movie as one of the greatest love stories of all times, right? So anyway, the movie is Love and Basketball.
Can I play?
All right, you and Kelvin against me and Jamal.
Oh, man, he's a girl.
Hey, girls can't play no ball.
Ball better than you. I'm going to be the first girl in the NBA.
No, I'm going to be in the NBA. You're going to be my cheerleader.
They play the same game.
If you don't start that bad attitude,
Critical foul.
no one's gonna recruit you
I'm a ball player.
with a jacked up attitude.
Why not? We're in the middle of basketball season. Why not talk about it, right? Like, let's talk about it because it's been around for a long time, right? And if you don't know the movie, watch it. I'm going to do some spoiler alerts just based on, my review of the movie, right? So the movie stars Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps, right? It was done a long time ago. And they're these friends, okay? Let's say, you know what? I don't know that we can call them friends, right? So they're these people, and they've known each other for a long time. So Monica moves in next door to Quincy, and I'm going to refer to him as Q, for most of this video, right? So Monica moves in next door to Quincy when she's little. She meets him on the basketball court with some other people because she's a baller, right? And he pushes her down and he hurts her. And then he has to go apologize. His mom makes him write this letter, all this stuff. So let me just say this. For this movie that people think is a treasure, a real love story, it's like, the ending is like happily ever type of stuff. I'm going to tell y'all what I think, right? What I think is that this is a hot mess, right? This is a toxic mess of a movie, of a relationship, honey. Let me just tell y'all, because from the beginning, did y'all just hear me say that he pushes her down and they were like, fighting and all this stuff? Even when they were younger, they were trying to decide, okay, should we be in a relationship together as kids, right? They kiss and then they start fighting again.
Ready?
Oh, sweet thing. Oh, you know everything. Yes, you are.
Wait, because you're my girl now, you got to ride on my bike. But I want to ride my own bike. My dad always drives my mom. So that means I have to ride you.
And so this is why I'm saying that this is a very toxic relationship from the beginning to the end. Let me just tell y'all, like, it was like all these pushes and pulls, all these starts and stops, and then there was all this what I would call avoidant and all this crazy behavior between Quincy and Monica, right? And it's like this passive aggressiveness, that you got to do this for me to like you, or you got to do this, or you got to perform this way in order for me to love you. And let me just tell y'all that scene, and y'all know if you've seen the movie, when they're playing basketball for love, right? So for his love, she's playing basketball.
What?
One game, one-on-one.
For what?
Your heart.
Let me tell y'all, I wish someone would want me to perform for their love. No, I really don't wish that. I think that to me, which is supposed to be romantic and sexy and all the things, honey, is, it just like blew my mind that someone would think that I got to perform just so that I can love you, or you can show your love to me, whatever that is. Toxic. It is true toxic behavior. And for all those who say, oh no, this is a great love story, honey, only if you got your eyes closed, because if your eyes are open and you're really paying attention to the movie, you realize that just in the stops and starts from, when they met begin in the beginning to when they were in college until he decided he was going to marry Tyra Banks. Yes, it was Tyra Banks, right? um, and then 2 weeks later, Monica comes back from Spain, and then they decide to like start hanging out together, and then all of a sudden they are back together, right? And let me just tell y'all, because this is one thing that really concerns me about this movie, that even in the end, it's like, oh, it ended the way it should have ended. She was playing basketball, he was supporting her. Let me tell y'all, if there would have been a sequel, I can guarantee you they would have been divorced. He would have been with a younger woman, and Monica hopefully would have found her a gentle woman. Let me just say, right? Someone who would love her and care for her the way she needs to. Someone who's going to treat her the way she needs to be treated. Not someone who's going to expect her to perform so that they can love her. So let me just make my point. This is a video about, something that people think is like sexy, and there's a lot of chemistry. And let me tell y'all, this is my point, that this is one of those times where just because you have something in common, honey, and only a few things that they had in common, one of them was that they lived next door to each other. They were both black, and they both loved basketball, right? That was pretty much all they had in common, because if you pay attention, they don't have anything in common. They're like oil and water, right? They don't even I don't even know if they really like each other, right? They had this chemistry, this mad chemistry, but that doesn't mean that just because you have a chemistry with someone, physical chemistry, doesn't mean that they're right for you, because emotionally they were both a wreck. Let me tell you, they were like, woo, just toxic. Let me tell you, both of them separately were toxic, and together they were even more toxic, right? So this is one of those times for me where, people look at what's common in relationships. What do we have in common? Well, let me tell y'all, what they had in common wouldn't have never worked in the real world, right? Because they had no compatibilities. There were no life values. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, and I don't know if y'all caught that, but they really were not compatible. So my point is this: don't focus so much on chemistry, physical chemistry, and don't focus on the few things that you have in common, honey. Focus on whether or not this person is compatible with you, whether or not they have some of the same life values and life goals, whether or not you can live the same lifestyles, right? Quincy was cute, clearly a playboy, right? Trying to pretend like he wasn't. And of course, Monica was this really sweet, innocent girl who loved him, right? But she loved, I believe, that what she thought he could be, not what he really is, what he really was at the time the movie came out. And that's why I say to y'all that if there was a sequel, they would definitely be divorced. So let me tell you what I liked about the movie. And y'all gonna think this is crazy. I like the mom.
You know what day I remember? In high school. Your spring dance. And I put my mother's pearls around your neck, and I told you you were beautiful. Because you were. That day I was happy I didn't have a catering business to run off to.
Alfre Woodard, she, some would say, oh, she's very traditional. She's doing all these things for her husband, waiting on people. She's playing the role of a mom. That's what moms do, right? But at the end of the day, she loved her family. And to me, that's very important, especially in times like this where, we're struggling right now, right? And it's good to have someone who loves you and cares for you. So I want to say kudos to Alfre Woodard and the role that she played, because she's played a lot of roles over the years, right? But in this one, people would say, okay, it's taking us back. I don't know where it's taking us back to, because I don't know that, someone loving you and caring for you is a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a really good thing. So let me just say this, that, this movie, y'all, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, right? But when you watch it, please keep your eyes and ears open, right? And the movie has a lot of great, actors in it for what we know today, right? A lot of people. But at the end of the day, to me, it was a toxic mess. I'm Daphney. And thank you for watching another episode of Coachable Moments at the Movies.